What do you think the biggest lie is? Well, let me tell you. First, there is no Uber Eats as the company. And second, guaranteed no one's running the show. Now you may say, how do I know this? Well, I was doing a few orders on the app recently. One in particular, it really blew me away. And that was like the domino that spilled over, collapsed the whole food delivery system. And I'm going to prove that to you here shortly. I'm also going to give you advice that you absolutely must follow if you want to keep your jobs. Let's get started. As drivers, it is time to wake up. Pull back that curtain and look what's behind there. We need to realize what's behind the term of independent contractor. Because if you think about it, this phone is our only tie to reality, which we know as Uber Eats. All we do is easily just drive around, drop off packages and food to customers, and then we make some money. So do you think I'm crazy for saying that? This phone, that's all it is. It's just software, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me briefly recap that really strange order that caused me to dive deep into the internet and figure it out. All right, so bringing up that order, it says 5:05. This is a McDonald's delivery, 3 miles. It takes 17 minutes. Now, this isn't a really great order, but it's not a bad one either. It's in the middle, and I did it because I wanted to make some money. Here's something that I actually didn't notice till later. Look at that. It says package delivery. Why would there be a package delivery from McDonald's? It should say delivery and then have that fork and knife on the green icon there, not package. So this got me started. And what I think it ended up being is McDonald's has their own system, their app. And then when they place orders, they outsource it to Uber Eats drivers like you and I. And this is what that is. But still, package delivery, that doesn't seem right. So I knew something's going on and I was going to dive deep into it. All right, we're ready to share this secret with you. And this proves that Uber Eats doesn't even exist as a company. They're just software. So I'm going to put a link in the video description. You can follow along. It's developeruber.com. And right here up the front, Uber developers, and it says explore the power of Uber APIs. What is an API? It's an application programming interface. And in plain English, this is just computer code linking something or someone to the Uber Eats system. So you can see right here, look at all these colorful icons. There's different categories. Uber Eats, Uber Direct, we're going to go in there. The rest you can kind of get an idea for. What this is, it allows any business, any restaurant, if they want to be on the Uber Eats platform, they can set it up to where their online menu, their store synchronizes with Uber Eats, and then the orders go right through. They're dispatched to a driver like you and I, and we finish the delivery. And that's why you can see Uber Eats has all sorts of businesses. So real briefly, you can see here for Uber Direct, it just says it enables merchants like you to integrate your applications and services with Uber Direct's order delivery system. By leveraging our APIs, you can easily automate the process of dispatching an Uber courier for pickups and deliveries. So this is our lives. This is our reality right here. You know, earlier you would think Uber Eats as a company, yeah, they have their headquarters in San Francisco. They have a big building, an office building. They have their key leadership team. But in reality, when you see this kind of stuff about the software, you can just think of Uber Eats really isn't a company, and clearly no one's running the show because it's just code. What Uber Eats is trying to do is take a cut of the money. They want a cut from everybody, every business, restaurant, every driver like you and I, even their own customer support function. They want a cut from them too. So if they just set it up, think of this. It's like Amazon or Walmart. Amazon is very reputable. And if you're buying from them, you know that they're going to get the product there to you. But there's also a lot of sellers on Amazon, individual businesses. Most are reputable. But when you're ordering on Amazon, you could actually be ordering from someone else. And overall, this is fine. Walmart would be another example, and I don't want to get off topic. I've personally had a bad experience with individual sellers on Walmart, so I don't trust them and I don't use that. Now, Uber Eats and Uber, they're setting up their whole computer system to where They want to expand their horizons to get many businesses on there, and that way they're linking up drivers to drop off and deliver for any company that's out there, including food delivery. So really quick, if you go back into the Uber drivers and view the docs there, look at this. All these companies, they have access to our personal information. They can program it within the app for their part of the business, and they can see how many rides we've done, our rating, our pay, things like that. So this just shows you we have the illusion of being on the app and thinking that we're actually working for a company. No, we're independent contractors. And I'm going to get to some real good advice for you here in just a second. And real quick, just so you don't think I'm crazy, I'll blur the gentleman's name. But in a previous video, he commented on this concerning, is Dara out to town? What's going on? So it says he actually used to date a software developer for Uber. And basically they just play around and they mess with drivers. They don't actually hear from leadership. And so they're free to explore and do as they want. And I can imagine this, if you're trying to justify your job as a software developer for Uber, then you want to always be productive. And how could you be productive? You could just try to figure out ways of manipulating the drivers to make them do different things and get the job done differently, maybe even more painfully or for less money. So I do thank you for this comment, and obviously I'm blurring his name, but this is interesting. So obviously this doesn't prove everything, but I think you can get the idea. You can see the potential that Uber is just setting themselves up as a company, but it's really just software. Drivers like you and I are actually doing the hard work, and the businesses and the restaurants, we're all trying to get the product to the customer. And basically on the back end, UberEats is just managing software. It's about time to stop being manipulated by UberEats. And here's the powerful technique. You have the power to say no. Just say no. We can't say no to them. We have to sign the community guidelines and the terms of service. If we don't, we're not on the app and we can't make money. But they say no to us all the time. How many times when you contact customer service does it ever go your way? I found maybe rarely, we'll just say maybe 2% of the time. So think about it. This is another business that they've outsourced their entire customer service function overseas. They don't even work or live where we do. Just say no. It's so powerful. Say no to low-paying orders. Just don't do them. You know, and I'll get to that here in a little bit about being profitable. If you just take $2 and $3 orders, let's say, and I can do about 3 per hour. So at $2, that's $6 an hour, plus all the miles on my car. I'm going to go out of business. And sadly, this is what happens to foolish drivers. When you just take low-paying orders, you go out of business. UberEats doesn't care. They're just going to get more drivers. So start saying no to unprofitable orders. Also, just say no when the pay doesn't work out. All we care about is our total pay. We don't want a cookie from Subway. We just want to be paid well. Now, if UberEats chooses not to pay us well, which is what they do, then sadly, this pay just has to come from the customer in the form of a tip. And I will say, here in California, the voters passed a law where we get extra money as drivers. So that is helpful, but in the majority of the country, that's not the case. So your total pay matters. And here's what UberEats does. You know, they pass every cost, every fee goes on to the customer. So whether that customer is giving us a tip or paying a high fee, and then in consequence, Uber is paying us more, that's great. But ultimately, the customer's paying for everything. So before you get too excited and saying no to everything, obviously work smart. We're not going to do that. Here are some essentials you must say yes to in order to keep your job. Legally, they can't make us take every order, the acceptance rate. They just can't do it. They can have some marketing programs, and they do come and go over the years to try to basically manipulate us into taking all the orders. But don't fall for it. In another video, for 2 years, I took every UberEats order, and there were no hidden high-paying orders and overall making a ton of money. Don't do it. And here's another aspect known as the cancellation rate. You know to do the right thing. When you accept an offer, finish it. I know there's some drivers, if there's double or triple stacked orders, they'll go through and try to figure out who didn't tip, go in, unassign just that delivery, and then complete the profitable ones. Yeah, you could do that, but if you cancel too many orders and you get to that percentage rate where they're going to deactivate you, then you're not going to have any work. What I do personally is if I accept an order, I deal with it and I complete it because I accepted it. I don't try to manipulate and cancel one part of it just because I don't like it. And another thing, it's kind of like dirty multi-apping. If you're on multiple apps and you leave them on and you get an order, say for UberEats, and it's okay, but a higher paying one comes on DoorDash or Grubhub, then people go in and unassign the order to take the higher paying one. Over time, this is a little risky. I totally understand why you're doing it though, because you want to make money. But if your cancellation rate gets too close to being deactivated, then you're not going to make any money. And on UberEats, I make several $1,000s per year. So I don't want to take the chance on that. Once I've accepted an order, I turn off the other apps. And before I get to my next point, I just want to show you, it is so hot here. Check this out. So it's summertime in California. That way it's a little bit cooler, but right here next to the freeway and behind me, that's where the valley is. And let me tell you, it gets really hot out there. Right now my car says 95. Guaranteed it's at least well over 100 over there. In this direction, it's a little bit cooler, but it is hot. So let's get moving along. All right. Here's another thing you need to say yes to. Say yes to the customer. The customer is the whole reason why we're out to do food delivery and make money. So usually what they're doing is they're putting in the customer comments right after you start the order, then their comments come up. So let me encourage you, while you're in the restaurant, as you're heading to your car, start the order and then see if there's any comments, because usually they'll be asking for ranch or a straw or something. Try to do this to the best of your ability. Obviously, the only time I don't do it, you can tell if it was a leftover comment from a previous order to a restaurant that doesn't even apply to the one you're delivering. So when you get the customer what they want, and then you're using the right equipment like a hot bag to keep their food nice and warm, they're going to appreciate it and give you a tip. Also, communicate with them as needed. If the order's held up, tell them why. You're just informing them because you know what? They're eagerly awaiting you to bring their food. They're paying a lot in fees and for the food itself because they're doing something else and they want to enjoy that experience. So as the driver, give them that great experience to where they're so happy that they stayed at home and ordered and you brought them the food. And you're going to be rewarded with tips and great ratings. In light of all this, wouldn't it be great to know how to actually select and take profitable orders to maximize your earnings? I have really good news for you. I've made a video covering this and how to deliver food safely. So watch that video next and I'll see you there.